Hey, it's Gabe with API Nation. Today I'm going to show you how you can sync Google Forms to DocuSign Rooms. So if you want to send an agent a Google form, they can just fill it out and it will create a DocuSign room, or it'll update a DocuSign room with the information they add to that Google form. It's a great way to streamline some stuff and use these two apps together to be more productive. Let me show you how to set this up using API Nation's new Webhooks tool. The first thing you're going to do is go to apination.com and you're going to click on Start Syncing. And you're going to see a ton of different apps you can set up and automate, including DocuSign. But to get started, to set up a sync between DocuSign and a Google form, we're going to use Webhooks. So I'm going to come up here to the search bar, type in Webhooks, and there it is. So I'm going to click on that. And webhooks, a lot of great information about that. We've created a video specifically about what webhooks are and how you can use them. I'll link to it down below in the description if you want to check it out. So I'm going to start with webhooks and I'm going to click on DocuSign. And I want to create a sync from the webhook into DocuSign to create these rooms, to update these rooms. So I'm going to activate that sync. And the first step to setting up the sync is to sign into your API Nation account. If you don't have one, you can create one. They're totally free to create. Or you can sign in with your Google account, which is what I'm going to do. Once you're signed into your API Nation account, you're going to set up the connection for each of these two apps. So first we're going to connect the webhook. So hit connect and it's asking, all right, is this an inbound webhook or an outbound? This is going to be inbound because we're getting information in to DocuSign Rooms. So I'm going to click inbound. It's going to ask for a label, so I'm just going to name this. I'm going to call this Google Forms for DS Rooms and generate webhook. So that's going to give me a URL. And this URL, we're going to leave it here because we have to go create a spot for it in Google Forms where we're going to put that. So let's go into Google Forms. I've created this form that I could send to my agents so that they can fill out some stuff that'll create a room or update a room. A couple things you need to know: in order to create or update a room, you need to be able to have the room name. So the agent has to be able to put the room name in, first name, last name, and the street address, city, state, and zip. So those are required if the sync is going to find that room to update or create a new room. So make sure those are on your form. Again, that's room name, first name, last name, street address, city, state, zip, and email is always a good idea. So once you create a form with all that stuff and then whatever other information you want to add to the room, you are going to come over here to the top right, these three dots, click on add-ons, and you're going to search for an add-on called email notifications. Email notifications for Google Forms. It's this one right here. There's probably other apps that'll do a similar thing, but this one seems to work really well for what we're trying to do. So you're going to click it and it's going to easily install it into your workspace. Once you install it, you're going to come back to your Google form. I'm going to go ahead and refresh the page now that I've installed that add-on. And now you can see in this puzzle piece that add-on is now available. So I'm going to click on that. Email notifications for Google Forms. Gives me all these great options, but what we're interested in this time is the webhooks for Google Forms. So I'm going to click on that. And we're going to set up that webhook. So we have the URL. API Nation has generated a URL. Now we have to tell it where it goes. So I'm going to hit this create webhooks. I'm going to name this webhook DocuSign Rooms. The method is post because we're sending information out. I'm going to grab that URL from API Nation. There it is. Copy it. Go back to Google Forms. Paste it in there. And then I'm going to come over here to request body. And I'm going to change the content type to application JSON. This looks good. I'm going to hit this test button. And it's going to send an example over to API Nation. So let's go to API Nation, hit the corresponding test button, and it's going to catch that example. There it is. So that looks good. I'm going to hit finish, and that creates the connection using the webhook. So now I have a connection of that Google form into my webhooks area. Now we're going to connect DocuSign. You can hit connect and then just sign right into DocuSign, and that'll make the connection. All right, so now we're going to set up the sync. So you're going to fill out this stuff, choose the account you wanted to connect, and then you're going to choose the role of the person creating the room or updating the room. You can do agent, broker, buyer, office manager, whatever the roles you have here are. I'm going to go with admin. Choose the office that this is happening at, and then the transaction side. So if it's a list side update or it's a buy side update or a list and buy side, go ahead and choose that, and then choose an action. So you can either update the rooms based on that room name, or you can create a new room. So if you're sending out a form and you're saying, hey, just fill out this form, it's going to automatically create a room in DocuSign Rooms. You can do that also. I'm going to go ahead and do that, create room and update room, and hit subscribe. So there we go. We've created the sync. We're just going to configure it a little bit further. You can see here's a filter tool. So if we want to filter anybody that's coming over from that Google form for whatever reason, I can choose to filter based on any of these fields from Google Forms. I'm going to come down here to mapping though, and this is the important part. You can see we do most of this for you. There's that room name, so it's pulling over the room name from Google Forms into the room name from DocuSign Rooms. Address 1, let me grab that street address, pop it in there, city, state, add the zip code. There we go. And anything else you wanted to add, make sure you have a field for it in Google Forms before you set up the webhook connection. So if you're doing this all to, set up a way for people to add buyers or any of these fields, make sure these fields are on the Google form before you set up the webhook for it. So there's a ton of different information you can have posted into your DocuSign room, but this looks good to me. I'm going to stick with this for now and hit activate the sync. So there we go. The sync is now running. So now I'm just going to come over here to the Google form and fill it out. This is what the agent would be doing. So I'm just going to put in, that's the room name, first name, the last name, the email, street address, city, California. All right. And submit. So there we go. Now it's submitted. It's going to fire that webhook, which is going to go into API Nation, and then that information is going to get sent to DocuSign to create a room. There it is, 789 Sesame Place, Valencia, California. That's all it takes. Now, anytime I need an agent to create a room, I just send that Google form, they fill it out. The automation fires creating my DocuSign rooms. So that's it. That's how you connect Google Forms to DocuSign Rooms. That way agents can just fill out a Google form. Customers, clients can fill out a Google form. It's going to get that information into the DocuSign room, update it, or create the room. They don't have to log in here and figure it out. They can just fill out that very simple, very neat Google form and get the information in there. It's going to make data entry a lot easier. It's going to cut that work in half, and you are going to be way more productive so you can go focus on creating more deals. If you have any questions or need any assistance setting up this sync, give us a phone call, shoot us an email. We're API Nation, and we're connecting the world's applications.